You just got to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and say, okay, I'm not laying down anymore. I'm just so over being exhausted with my own BS. And that's where I make big changes, where I'm just like, I'm over me saying this stuff to the point where now it's either do it or shut up. What's going on, everybody? Nathan Markle here, and welcome back to Hold Strong. This is your podcast of the week to be into, where I tell you the truth about everything. I don't lie to you about jack. I don't sugarcoat nothing. Definitely tell you what the things I've been through, gone through, the crap that's happened. It's not rainbow fields and strawberries. I could tell you that much. Today, though, what I'm going to talk to you about today, because I see this so much, is what keeps someone moving forward. Like, what is going to help you achieve your goals and targets. And I know that I don't want you to pass this episode because it's important that you at least hear what I'm going to say. Because what I'm going to say is going to make sense really quickly. And it's literally the difference between where you are right now and where you're going to be. Sometimes it's not work ethic or none of those things. It's literally just people's inability to break down their target. So give me a minute to break that down for you so you understand. The reason that I have ever achieved any big numbers in my life and any of the business I've ever done is because I actually take these big numbers. Like when someone says, I want to make $1 million a year, or if somebody says, I want to buy 2 mansions or a big yacht or whatever it is, what people don't tend to do is actually break down those goals, those targets. They don't break them down to make them look like they're achievable. And when they don't do that, it just stays fascination. It just stays fantasy land. It just stays dream state. So in order to make that a reality, to actually even find the metrics to actually achieve these things, you got to break them down. You got to break them down and see what it takes to get to these things. So for example, one of the main things I ask people is, I usually ask people right away, hey, what would you like to make per year? If you can make any amount, if you think, what dollar amount do you think you're capable of making at max? And they'll say, most of the time they say $1 million or a couple $1 million. And I'll say, okay, well, what's that break down to per month or per week or per day? And they have no freaking clue. They have no idea. Or if they say, well, my dream car, I would love to get a freaking Lambo, or I want to get a Rolls Royce, or I would love to buy a house on the beach down, on the south beach of Florida somewhere. What do they cost? I don't know. Out of my price range. What's out of your price range? Well, I don't know. I'm sure they've got to be in the millions. See, the thing is that you don't even really have a target. So how could you ever achieve anything if you don't even got a target, man? Like if you really thought that you were going to end up doing that someday, if you really were going to get that done, even if you weren't sure how, you would go look up those houses on the coast, find out what they cost, look at what the mortgage costs per month, and then look at what the money down is going to be required to get that house. And you start doing the math. Okay, well, it's $1 million home. They require 10% down. I got to put $100,000 down. My payment's going to be, whatever it's going to be, $3,000 a month. Is that something I can afford to do? Okay, yeah, I can afford to do $3,000. I think that's achievable by most people to make decent money. I can do the $3,000 a month between me and the wife. $100,000 down. How do I get to that? You start breaking it down. Okay, what do we have to put away every single month to get to that? What do I have to sell to get to that? If we sold our house now, how close does that put us? Well, that maybe we'll make $30,000, $40,000 profit. Okay, so now we have to have $60,000. Now, how long is it going to take for you and the wife to put together $60,000? Not that long. Maybe pull together some overtime, do some side hustles, have the wife do some side hustles. You could do it in the same year. So now guess what? The dream you had of owning the house on the beach that was unachievable, now, just within 5 minutes of breaking stuff down, became attainable. So if you can see these targets, if you can literally break these things down and help people understand how close they are, more people would be achieving these things. More people would be hitting their targets and having a way better life. But you're programmed from birth that these things are hard to get, or somehow just being around other people that are complacent have brainwashed you into thinking that you can't afford these things or get to these things. Then you never can. You're never going to, because you're never going to think past the it's just too much for me. That's the small think. That's the adult think. Because when you were a kid, when you were a child, everything was on the table. Being an astronaut, being the president, you're going to fly and be Superman someday. All that's on the table. The only time that gets taken off the table is when you start growing up. You start getting told things by people like, you can't do that, you can't do this, $2 million a year, come on, man, what are you gonna do, win the lotto? Like, people start crushing your dreams. So then you start just like reasoning with yourself and negotiating with yourself. Yeah, maybe 2 million's a little too much. Maybe, well, what is acceptable? 50 grand, 100 grand? I don't know. What's realistic? When it should be like, forget that crap, man. Like, what are you doing? What do you mean, what's realistic? How much can you make? How many hours are in the day? How much money can you pay me? That's what's realistic to me. So yeah, letting other people crush your dreams, but targets, man, targets are so important, to the point where even your day should be broken down in like 15-minute segments. If you really want to know how much time you have and don't have, is break down your day into 15-minute segments and keep track of what you do. Write down what you do every 15 minutes. And you'll find pockets all over the place in the day where you could learn a trade or get better at yours, or whatever it is that you need to do, where you can implement new things in your life. You can start a side hustle. You can learn about persuasion, learn about selling, which, by the way, everybody needs to learn networking and persuasion. You have to. That's a mainstay. I don't care what line of work you're in. You have to learn persuasion, because even if you're in a job that isn't commission-based, you're going to have to persuade your company to your way of thinking or the company's way of doing stuff. And in order to do that, you have to be good at persuasion, not just telling them to do it. You have to learn how to get your employees to want the same thing that you want, have the same goals you have, that we are all pulling for it. So it's super important to do those things. But metrics are important. Metrics are important, breaking things down. So whatever it is you got, your assignment, I would say for you, is really think of something you would love to achieve. I mean, really think that you would like to achieve. You want to make $1 million a year or $500,000 a year? Break that down. Break it down and then look at what it is you have to do to achieve those numbers. Like, how much of this do I have to do to get to that? And if you're an hourly employee, then look into sales. Okay, how many of this item do I have to sell? Or get into an MLM where you can drag people in to do it for you. You can recruit, network. Maybe that's your passion. Insurance allows you to hire people in and do things through insurance. Where you can grab people and bring them in and get them all worked up and get them to want to sell insurance, teach them good ways to sell and teach them how to get leads. They go out and they start closing insurance, and you get a percentage of what they do, infinitely. And what's the good part about that is, now, if let's say I want to make $1 million a year, right? Was it like 80 thousand bucks a month? 83,000 a month. So I know that off the cuff because I've done that math 1,000 times in my head. I don't know exactly what it was because it's been a minute, but it was 80 something, 83,000 a month. So if you're breaking that down, you're like, okay, well, how many items do I got to sell at 83,000 a month? Now the small think says, I only got 24 hours to work in a day. How am I going to sell that many items in 24 hours? Because the small think thinks about, how can I just do it? Well, no company gets big alone. Facebook didn't get big alone. Walmart didn't get big alone. Kmart didn't get big alone. Target ain't big alone. No basketball team's great alone. You have to have people. Microsoft isn't alone. Apple's not alone. Everybody's got a group of people. So what you got to do is you got to find people that are hungry for that same dream like you, and you got to give them a vehicle to get there. So if you find, let's say insurance is your path. That's why I started an insurance firm, because I thought, you know what? I'm going to help people make more money and get rich when they think there's no other way. I'm going to show them an avenue where they have full control, where they can decide, if I want to make 50 grand this year, I make 50 grand. But if I want to make 300,000 this year, I can. And if I want to be a millionaire, I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So when you do that and you find people that want those things, you're going to find a bunch of riffraff. Don't get me wrong. You're going to hire 100 and probably keep 10. It's going to be the rule. But when those 10, so you want to hire as many 100s as possible so you can build those 10s, because those 10s will make the foundation of your business. And you have those 10s out there doing the work. And now you're collecting, let's say you only make 1,000 or 2 off of each one of your people, right? And you got to hit 83,000 a month. So if you got 20 people out there, just 20 people that you've recruited in, let's say you recruited a bunch of people and you've got 20 now that want to make great money, that are making good money. And they're all paying you $2,000 a piece is all they're making, a month to you. It would be a lot more than that. It'd probably be closer to 3,000 or 4,000, but let's just say it's 2,000 a month, right? You got 20 people, and that means you got 40,000 a month coming in. You're halfway there already. And you just hired these people on that are selling. And maybe it took you a year. But now you're like, okay, now I just need another 20. I need another 20 and I'm going to be a millionaire. By the way, while I'm looking for my other 20, I'm going to teach these guys to sell better. So now that 2,000 is going to look like 3,000 or 4,000. So now guess what? I don't even maybe need to find these 20, but I'm going to increase their sales pitch and I'm going to find these 20. And now that million you thought you were looking for, that big long shot of million, now looks like 1.5. And you were only shooting for $1 million. By the way, whatever you're shooting for, you should probably double it or triple it. I would rather have you fall short of a number that seems unachievable. Be unreasonable. When you think of things you want, I don't want to hear. You should never tell yourself, well, the things I want, I can't have. The things I want, I can't get. That's dumb. What do you mean you can't? You know what? You aren't going to get it. You're right. You're not going to get it because your think is too small. You have a baby brain. You don't even have a little kid's brain. You actually have a baby adult brain because a little kid doesn't put parameters on themselves. Little kids think they can do anything. Matter of fact, when you tell them you can't do that, they say, why not? They think they can do whatever they want. They're unreasonable. They just want to do whatever it takes and they'll destroy everything to get it done. I mean, not literally want to destroy, but they will get loud. They'll make noise. They'll get your attention. It's either, hey, look, let me do this or I'm going to tear this place up, Mom. I'm going to throw a tantrum. Everyone's going to see you. They're going to be embarrassed. So you weigh it out because either way, I'm getting it. I'm going to do it with a spanking or I'm going to do it without a spanking. You choose. Because if a kid wants it, a kid knows he can get it. And he has no idea how he's going to come up with it. He has no idea because the kid don't have no money, right? But a kid's going to get the objection taken care of and handled. So you need to get that adult think, get that think out of the way and start telling yourself, yeah, I can do these things. I can achieve these levels. Just because it's what I have achieved, look around you. People are all telling you that money is the root of all evil. That's people that don't have much money. Money can buy happiness. I'll bet you that person doesn't got a lot. I'm not saying that you're going to go, I've never received money and just got intrinsically happy. I've received a lot of money and been temporarily maybe euphoric. Like I've been on cloud 9 for a minute, an accomplishment, but I'm going to settle back into my whatever my happiness level is. And so will you. You'll all do the same thing. So money itself doesn't achieve the happiness. But what money does do is during that euphorism, it's going to create momentum. It's going to propel you. Like as it's coming in, you're getting like excited about the jobs being done and how amazing you're doing. You're going to start pushing harder to get more. You're going to say, well, that was possible. How much harder can we push to get more? I don't want to sleep. Don't want to go home. I don't need lunch. You ever like worked real hard on something, got really involved in it, and you're like, oh my God, where'd the time go? Holy shit, I gotta get off of work. That's what you want to do in real life. When you start working hard in your own stuff and you start getting paid for it, like your own brand or whatever you're doing is, your own job, your own career, that's what it's like. Like you look at the time, you're like, holy cow, like I don't even know the time went away so fast. Because you're so indulged in it. You're so excited about what the future is going to hold for you. Because possibilities are now being opened. You lived in a life of just a hallway, of walking through a hallway with no outlets. And now all of a sudden, you've got to the end of the hallway and you've just realized there's been doors this whole damn time. Whole damn time. They just look like bookshelves. They look like disguises. You just couldn't see the doors, but they were always there. You just weren't looking. And now that you see it, now that you got these x-ray goggles on, you're just like, wow, I got all these opportunities. There's an opportunity. There's an opportunity. There's an opportunity. It's like you don't even care. Like, I don't want to sit down no more. I don't want to watch Netflix no more. I don't want to hang out and have a beer with you no more. It's not to dislike you. I got stuff to do now. I got shit to do. I got a life to build. I got a target to hit. I've already told myself that I'm going to do this every single day, every single week, every single month. I'm going to execute on my goals. So what you should be doing is breaking your targets down. So keys for today is to write your target down. Write what it is and work it backwards. What does it take to get where you want to be? I want a house in the ocean. I want a 200 grand in the bank, and I want to make $200,000 or $300,000 a year. If that's what it is, work that backwards. What does a house cost on the ocean you're looking for? Look at a couple different ones. And if they're close enough, go fly there. Go take a vacation in that area. Check out the homes. Go do a walkthrough or just walk by on the curb. Take a look. Feel it. Smell the ocean when it hits you in the face. Really think about it when you're on your trip. Don't think about vacation and when can I come back. Go out there and think about what would it take to live here? What would it take to stay? What kind of business is going on here that I can get into? And that's what I would do. Putting your hands on those things makes it real. Because once you look at the homes, you see what's for sale, then you'll start finding things you think you could maybe achieve. Then when you start doing that, you're like, okay, well, if I just do this, I can actually get this house. You start thinking to yourself, okay, well, now I got some targets. So now you got to break those targets down. How much money do I have to make every week, every day, every week to make it add up, or I can afford this? And then it becomes reality. We don't just wander through life. Contrary to belief, it's not like people that are successful. I don't just walk through life hoping that businesses fall into my lap. I don't just walk through life finding people that are good for me to work with. Like, I got to sit here and grind it out like everybody else. I got to work the numbers backwards. I have to have endless Zoom meetings with people from here to London and back, literally, to try to figure out how to make things work. There's a lot of moving pieces. I get it. But if I don't even put the effort in, I automatically lose. And I can't lose if I don't give up. I can just never achieve my target. That's possible. But I'll never fail. Because to fail is just to stop. And why would I not want more? If I could achieve more, why would I not want more? So my I guess notes for you that I would take down if I was you, if I was going to leave this podcast with something to try, I would write down my goals, not just to see them, work them backwards. Go look them up, see what they cost, and work back what it cost me to get them. And if what you make right now is like, God, I could never get that on my budget, well, then what can I do on the side? Or what can I change my career to? What would I have to do? Because here's the monthly I got to put away to be able to put the money down to get this. So if that's my target, I got to hit this monthly amount. What can I do as a job that can pay this monthly amount? And that's what I need to start learning that trade, whatever it is. Tip to a lot of you guys is probably sales. Sales is a pretty high-ticket industry to be in. It pays more than any other industry in the world because it's involved in everything. Sales is in insurance. Sales is in IRAs. It's in annuities, mutual funds. Sales is in cars, property. It's in everything. Software, programs, knowledge. It's literally in everything. So I would find your targets and work them backwards to see what you can do. The second thing I would do is I would keep a 15-minute, and I'm telling you there's research on this, 15-minute tallies throughout the day on what I'm doing every 15 minutes. Because an empty calendar, if you want to meet the devil, you don't got to die to meet the devil. Just look at an empty calendar. Go look at your calendar. If you got nothing but white space, then you're just going to meet the devil now because you're going to find evil real quick. Your life's going to get bad real fast. If you ain't got things scheduled out to do and progressions to be made in you and your business to excel your family or to excel your business and your finances for you and your family, then you're going to meet the devil. You don't got to die to see him. You're going to find all kinds of strife in your life. Tons. And that rhymed. So, really though, white space is a bad thing. So if you're seeing white space, don't be wondering I don't know how to fill it up. I wish it would just come full. I don't have any more appointments. What are you doing? What are you doing to fill that white space up? And if you don't got a business, but you'd like to have a side business, then fill it up with things you're learning on. How much are you learning about the thing you'd like to do? How much information are you taking in? Fill those gaps in. Go on Google or Yahoo or Google, I guess, and search about these things you want to learn. Find out what you have to learn, and then go to YouTube and watch the courses on it. There's a lot of free information out there. I'm telling you right now, if I didn't know how to sell, I could learn it. I could learn it pretty quickly. Would I be a master or an expert? No, not without buying a course, but I could do it before then. I could get pretty close. Same with anything, really. If I want to be a graphics designer, if I want to do someone that works on Fiverr, and get constant contracted work on the side, how to do graphics design, maybe make vectorized images, whatever it is, I can go right to YouTube and learn how to do it. There's a trillion tutorials. I want to learn how to paint. I want to be a painter. Go to YouTube. I want to be a mechanic. Go to YouTube. If you don't know how to do something, and that's your excuse for why you're not excelling in your side business, it's your friggin' fault. So you need to own up to that and start filling up those white spots on your calendar. If you're looking through it and there's a bunch of blanks and doing nothing throughout the day, you know damn well why you're not where you're supposed to be. You know, you deserve to have an empty bank account. You deserve to be a nowhere. You deserve to be a nobody. Fill that stuff up. Your family, you owe it to them. You owe it to you. Look, guys, you're going to meet the future you, whether you want to or not. You're in this life. You're all in. You're in this life for everything. You're playing this thing for keeps. And you don't get to leave this with any money, and you don't get to leave this with your life. You take nothing. So while you're here, you might as well play the best game you can. You might as well be the most magnificent player on the field with what you got. Well, I don't know how to do that stuff. Go to Google, man. Google's your mom now. Go ask Google how to do it. It'll tell you. It'll find the YouTube pages. Go to YouTube. You can't tell me you don't know anymore. We're in the age of information. You have so many terabytes worth of data at your fingertips. I don't want to hear it. I learned how to paint, how to fiberglass, how to paintball, how to sell. I learned like everything. How to epoxy. You know, this office was built by someone that learned how to epoxy online. Online. The studio. You know, all these things. Everything was done. You know, the guy that did the wall here. I don't know if you can see the wall behind me. The one that did the, looks like an iceberg, kind of like broken up stuff. That guy learned that online. You know, I talked to a guy, I don't want to say his name on here, as a carpenter. He used to work in an air conditioning company and wanted to make more money. Was tired of being a prisoner to his job. Because I hear that a lot in my groups. People are tired of being a prisoner to the clock, don't want to clock in, clock out. They want to pay their bills and know the money's there. They want to put their money on auto pay and just know the money's there. And I really do empathize with that. I understand that. And this guy was a manager and they were relying on him to do everything. And he got tired of it. So he started taking on side projects to do carpentry work. And so I asked him, because he was working at a place that I was contracted to do some work for as a consultant. I was teaching sales there. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, what got you into this, man? Because you look kind of young. And he's like, well, YouTube. I said, oh my gosh. Well, I mean, not this particular job, but like, what taught you to be a carpenter? How'd you learn? Like, who taught you? He's like, oh, YouTube. I'm like, literally? He's like, yeah. I would always say yes. I'd bid a job, and then I'd YouTube it. And sometimes my first time doing a job, I might break even. Most of the time I make money, but every once in a while I might break even. But it's because I go on YouTube, and I'm going to make some mistakes. But I'm almost getting paid to learn. Like they're paying me to get the material to do this job, and I'm using YouTube to teach me how. And I may make some mistakes where I got to take my profit and maybe, buy the extra parts to do it a second time because I screwed it up, but I learned. And I asked him, I said, all right, well, how long have you been doing it for? He said, about 2 years. And I said, how much are you going to make this year? He said he's going to net right around $250,000, $250,000. Off of YouTube, a guy that was just worked at an AC place. He made like $50,000 a year before that. I said, would you ever go back? He said, absolutely not. He goes, I have a $60,000 Harley. I got a slingshot. I got 2 brand new trucks. I got a new boat, he was telling me. He's got a cabin up in Tennessee, and he has a Florida house. Like, this guy had done everything. All off of YouTube. Super inspiration. So, that's pretty much what this one's going to be about today, guys. Just looking at your metrics, figure out your goals. You really want to do your targets. Make them real. Don't just tell everybody what you'd like to do someday, and don't just count on the lotto being the one you're going to do. Literally look up the targets you want to do, write them down, work them backwards, do the math, figure out what it takes to get there, and literally put thought into owning it and getting it, achieving it. What do I have to make on the side to get to there? Don't let yourself negotiate and say, well, that's just too high of a number. I can't do it. Because that's bullshit. There's people out there doing it. Any target you have, anything you'd like to buy, someone else is buying it. That's why it's there. You can go to a site like controller.com. There's planes and helicopters on there for sale for millions of dollars. And they're for sale on there because private owners are buying them. There's no reason that you can't be a private owner that buys these things, or has the truck you want, or buys the classic car you want, or gets the beach house you want, or whatever it is you want to do. Have a slew of Airbnbs, whatever it is you want to do. Look at the target. Start wherever you needed to start. look at that target and work it backwards. What's it take for me to achieve these things? And break it down to the day. And then go through your calendar and start doing 15-minute increments throughout your day. Keep track. I know it's a lot of work. But if you're going to let you down that quick, then you just might as well just have a sign around your neck saying, I give up. I'm done. I give up. I'm not learning no more. I'm accepting life as this. I give up. Don't talk to me. So I would write down every 15 minutes what you're accomplishing. Dude, it's 5 seconds. Write it down. And look back at the end of that day. And then see how much time you have. It's particular to the ones out there that are saying, I don't got time. I can't do it. I'm running 6 businesses over here. Yeah, I run videos. I'll be in the studio here recording all day. All day, every day, it feels like. I have 1 million people to talk to every day. I'm on Zooms all day. I'm on the phone and text all day. I'm traveling constantly. I don't want to hear. I'm taking red eyes at 4 and 5 in the morning. While you're sleeping, I'm getting on the road at 2:30 in the morning so I can get to the airport by 4 so I can get on my plane by 5:30, 6 o'clock. I don't want to hear you don't got time. All right, guys. Well, that's a positive note. Let's see you guys wrap this stuff up. Would love to hear. Comment below on some of the things you guys have, what your targets are, big or small. It's not here to be judged. Comment below if there's a way to do it. If not, I don't know if you're going to see this in my general social media. If not, reach out to me and let me know what your targets are. PM me, DM me. Find a way to reach me through my social media platforms. You can go to nathanmarco.com. You can hit me on Hold Strong, my podcast. You can go to Nathan Marco _, and that's on Instagram. Nathan Marco Official at Instagram. You can also go to Nathan Marco on Facebook. And I think, what's my TikTok? I think it's Nathan Marco Official. Yeah, it might be Nathan Marco Official on TikTok as well. There's a million ways to get a hold of me. Tell me what your targets are. Say it out loud. Make it real. All right, guys? Well, I'll see you guys next week for Hold Strong. Thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate every single one of you guys that have been here since the beginning. All right, guys? See you next week.